Imagine it's 2:17 in the morning. The entire house is quiet. The lights are off. Your phone is sitting beside you, and you're staring at the ceiling, thinking about something that happened 6 hours ago. You replay the conversation. You remember the exact words. Then your mind asks a question. What if I handled it wrong? One thought becomes 5. 5 become 20. Suddenly you're thinking about your job, your money, your relationships, your future. A decision you haven't made yet, a problem that hasn't happened yet, and before you realize it, you've spent another hour fighting battles that exist only inside your mind. Now here's the strange part. Nothing has actually happened. You're still lying in the same bed. The room is still quiet. Tomorrow hasn't arrived, but your body feels exhausted. Your mind has already lived through 100 imaginary tomorrows. And maybe you've experienced this yourself. Maybe you call it worrying, maybe you call it planning, maybe you tell yourself you're simply being careful. But sometimes thinking isn't solving the problem. Sometimes thinking is becoming the problem. More than 800 years ago, a Roman emperor named Marcus Aurelius faced pressures most of us will never experience: war, political conflict, loss, responsibility, uncertainty. And yet, he repeatedly reminded himself that his mind did not have to become a prisoner of everything happening around him. The Stoics understood something we often forget. You cannot control everything that happens in your life, but you can train yourself not to be destroyed by your thoughts about it. And today, I'm going to show you 7 Stoic habits that can help you do exactly that. Not by pretending your problems don't exist. Not by forcing yourself to just think positive, but by changing the way you meet uncertainty. And the 7th habit may completely change the way you look at worry. 1. Ask, is this actually mine to control? Let's start with a story. Imagine you're waiting for an important email. You've done everything you could. You prepared. You worked hard. You sent the message. Now there's nothing left to do. But every few minutes you check your inbox. Nothing. You check again. Nothing. Then your mind begins creating explanations. Maybe they don't like my work. Maybe I said something wrong. Maybe I've ruined my opportunity. Notice what happened. The situation didn't change. Your mind simply started trying to control an outcome that wasn't yours to control. This is one of the most important lessons in Stoicism. There are things you control, and there are things you don't. You control your effort, your preparation, your choices, your words, your attitude, your response. But you don't control another person's opinion. You don't control whether someone approves of you. You don't control the past, and you don't control every event waiting for you tomorrow. So whenever worry begins taking over, ask yourself, is there something I can actually do about this right now? If yes, do it. If no, release it. Not because you don't care, because you understand that worrying is not the same thing as taking action. That's the first shift. 2. Stop solving tomorrow's problems today. There's a reason overthinking feels so exhausting. Your brain keeps demanding answers to questions that haven't happened yet. What if I fail? What if they reject me? What if everything changes? But here's something you need to remember. The future is not asking you to live there yet. Think about a person driving at night. They don't need to see the entire road all the way to their destination. They only need enough light to see the next part of the road. Life works the same way. You don't need to know exactly how everything will turn out. You need to know what the next right step is. When your mind starts racing 10 years into the future, bring it back. Ask, what is required from me today? Maybe it's making one phone call, finishing one assignment, having one honest conversation, taking one step toward a goal. Do that. Then tomorrow can deal with tomorrow, because here's the trap. When you constantly live in the future, you sacrifice the only moment you can actually influence. This one. 3. Don't believe every thought you have. This habit changed the way I look at overthinking. Your mind can produce a thought in less than a second, but just because your mind says something doesn't mean it's true. Imagine someone doesn't respond to your message. One person thinks, they're probably busy. Another thinks, they're angry with me. Another thinks, they don't respect me anymore. Same event. 3 completely different stories. The event was real, the interpretation was invented. That's the difference. A Stoic learns to separate facts from assumptions. So when your mind says, I'm going to fail, ask, do I know that, or am I predicting it? When your mind says, everyone is judging me, ask, do I actually know that? When your mind says, this is going to ruin everything, ask, what evidence do I have? You don't need to argue with every thought. You simply need to stop giving every thought authority. Your mind is a powerful tool, but a powerful tool still needs a person holding it. Don't let every passing thought become your reality. 4. Practice the Stoic art of appreciation. Now this one may sound unusual. If you want to worry less, occasionally imagine losing what you currently take for granted. Not to make yourself miserable, not to become negative, but to wake yourself up. Think about the people you love, the ability to wake up tomorrow, a quiet morning, a conversation with someone important, your ability to work towards something, your home, your opportunities, the ordinary things you barely notice. We often appreciate something only after life reminds us how temporary it was. The Stoics understood that everything in life is changing, and instead of allowing that truth to create constant anxiety, they used it to create gratitude. Imagine waking up tomorrow and realizing you had another ordinary day, another chance, another morning, another conversation. Would you treat it differently? Probably. That's the point. When you appreciate what you have, your mind stops constantly demanding what you don't have. And strangely enough, gratitude can become a form of mental freedom. You stop saying, my life will be good when I get more, and start saying, there is already something worth appreciating today. 5. Learn the difference between reflection and replaying. There's a man who makes a mistake at work. He goes home, he eats dinner, he gets into bed, and then the memory returns. Why did I say that? Why didn't I handle it differently? I should have known better. He replays the same moment again, and again, and again, but nothing improves. That's because reflection and replaying are not the same thing. Reflection asks, what can I learn? Replaying asks, how many times can I punish myself for what already happened? The first creates wisdom. The second creates exhaustion. You are allowed to learn from your past without living inside it. If you made a mistake, own it. If you hurt someone, make amends when possible. If you need to change, change. But after you've taken the lesson, give yourself permission to continue, because the past has already taken its payment. Don't keep paying interest on it. 6. Create a pause between emotion and action. Now imagine this. Someone says something that irritates you. You immediately feel the anger. Your fingers reach for your phone. You start typing. You want them to understand exactly how you feel. So you send the message. 10 minutes later, you feel different. An hour later, you wish you'd waited. This is why the pause matters. The Stoics understood that we don't always control the first emotional reaction, but we have a choice about what comes next. Someone can make you angry, but you don't have to give them control over your behavior. Someone can criticize you. You don't have to become defensive. Someone can disappoint you. You don't have to destroy your peace trying to make them understand. Create a small gap. Take a breath. Walk away for 5 minutes. Sleep on the decision, then ask, what response will I respect tomorrow? That question can save you from years of unnecessary regret. Because emotional strength isn't never feeling anger. It's feeling anger without allowing anger to become your decision maker. Here's where most people get stuck. They learn how to control their thoughts. They learn how to focus on the present. They learn what they can control. And then life does something completely unexpected. A plan fails. Someone leaves. An opportunity disappears. Something changes. And suddenly all the old anxiety comes rushing back. So what do you do when you can't control the situation at all? That's where the seventh habit comes in. And honestly, this may be the hardest one. 7. Stop fighting reality. Imagine you're standing in the rain. You didn't plan for rain. You wanted sunshine, so you become angry at the sky. You argue with the weather. You tell yourself it shouldn't be happening, but the rain doesn't care. It simply falls. Now imagine taking out an umbrella. Same rain. Completely different experience. That's what acceptance does. Acceptance doesn't mean you like everything that happens. It doesn't mean you stop trying. It doesn't mean you give up. It means you stop wasting energy arguing with a reality that has already happened. You lost an opportunity. Okay, what can you learn? Someone walked away. Okay, what will you do now? Your plan failed. Okay, what's the next move? This is the Stoic shift. Stop asking, why is this happening to me? And start asking, what can I do with what has happened? That question puts your power back in your hands. Because life doesn't always give you the situation you wanted, but it gives you the opportunity to decide what kind of person you'll be inside that situation. Maybe you've been waiting for your life to become peaceful. You think, when I make enough money, I'll stop worrying. When I fix this relationship, I'll relax. When I know what my future looks like, I'll finally feel calm. But there will always be another uncertainty, another challenge, another unanswered question. If you wait for life to become perfectly predictable before you become peaceful, you may spend your entire life waiting. The Stoics chose another path. They didn't try to create a life without problems. They trained themselves to become stronger than the problems. And you can begin today. When something worries you, ask, is this within my control? When your mind races into tomorrow, ask, what is required from me today? When a frightening thought appears, ask, is this a fact or an assumption? When you feel dissatisfied, notice what you already have. When the past returns, take the lesson instead of repeating the punishment. When emotion rises, create a pause, and when reality refuses to follow your plan, stop fighting what has already happened. Ask, what now? Because peace isn't having a life where nothing goes wrong. Peace is knowing that when something goes wrong, you don't have to lose yourself with it. So tonight, if you're lying awake and your mind starts creating scenarios that haven't happened yet, don't fight the thoughts. Take a breath, look around you, come back to this moment, and tell yourself, I will handle tomorrow when tomorrow arrives. Tonight, I only have today. You don't need to solve your entire future tonight. You don't need to rewrite yesterday. You don't need everyone to understand you. You don't need to control everything. You only need to control the next choice, then the next one, then the next. And eventually, something remarkable happens. The world may still be unpredictable. People may still disappoint you. Plans may still change. But your mind becomes different, quieter, stronger, more disciplined. And you finally understand what the Stoics were trying to teach us all along. You don't find peace by controlling life. You find peace by mastering the part of life that was always yours to control, yourself. And once you learn that, you stop spending your life fighting imaginary battles and start living the life that's actually in front of you.